พี่โอ้โหสวย
เราดูมันโผล่ตรงนี้นะเดี๋ยวมันจะมายิงตรงนี้นี่แหละ
อย่างนั้นจะพาไปเลยเยอะ
This guy's gonna get shot. Yeah.
ที่อนุสาวรีย์ชัยสมรภูมิทุกท่านนะครับวันนี้เช่นเคยประชาชนออกมาลงบนท้องถนนเพื่อขับไล่เผด็จการประยุทธ์จันทร์โอชาออกไปใช่ไม่ใช่พี่น้องเอ้ยประยุทธ์ออกไปประยุทธ์ออกไปประยุทธ์ออกไปนี่แหละครับมันคือเสียงของประชาชนผู้ที่ไม่อดทนอีกต่อไปมันคือเสียงของคนเพื่อคนที่เท่ากันถ้าพร้อมแสดงออกเชิงสัญลักษณ์เริ่มได้เลยครับไปพี่น้องสื่อมวลชนระวังเปลวไฟด้วยนะครับนี่เป็นการตอบโต้ในรูปแบบสันติวิธีที่ประชาชนอย่างเรา
Hey, I'm Scott, and I'm an American in Bangkok, Thailand, where recently the city has been met with numerous protests, and a recent NIDA poll, that is the National Institute of Development Administration, they conducted a poll by phone interview of 1,318 people, and their poll shows that half of the people polled do not agree with aggressive protests. I guess if half the people don't agree with aggressive protests, that means that half the people do agree. And let me get into some of the numbers, but what I was going to say is I'm a little unsure of just how beneficial these protests are, because I don't really know that they're going to be able to gain anything from them. I don't know they're going to make any headway. The only thing that they will get is some attention from the international community, and I don't know that that's going to do all that much. But let me get into this poll here. Now, this poll talked to people between August 9th and August 11th of all educational and occupational backgrounds over the age of 18, asking their opinions about the pro-democracy protest on August 7th. So the protests before this date and after are not included. 51.74% of the poll respondents believe there were unspoken people backing the protesters in the background. Just over half, 36% believe that the group does not have any shadow backers, and 12% had no comment. A similar percentage of people disagree with the protest, mostly turned off by the violence and chaos that the demonstrations descended into. 52% of people in the poll said they were against the way the protest went, with 35% strongly disagreeing with what happened and nearly 17% moderately disagreeing. They believe that the throngs of people gone awry could lead to COVID-19 outbreaks and only worsen Thailand's situation. Respondents also felt the chaotic protest caused unneeded unrest in the country and is counterproductive to dealing with the problems facing Thailand. The poll found many who still supported the protest, though, with 26% of people saying they highly agree with the protesters. They believe the more aggressive and combative actions of the recent protest shows the intensity of the growing dissatisfaction with the government's current performance and the demand for more democracy and more protected rights. Another 19% of the poll, some would agree with the protest, saying they don't support the violence and chaos, but they believe the tenacity of protesters should be a wake-up call for the government about their demands for justice and the betterment of life in Thailand. It's pretty obvious that the people are dissatisfied with the current government. If everything's going well, the government looks good, the people are happy. When things are going bad, people are not so happy. And right now, because of the lack of vaccines and the slow rollout of the vaccinations and the lockdowns and the effect that these lockdowns have had on the economy, the Thai economy, people are very unhappy. Protests are never a good thing. They're not good for the government, and they're not good for the people. And the reason is because these protests are bad for Thailand's image, and their image is already somewhat tarnished because of the virus and the way that it's been handled, and the difficulty to come into the country, and the flip-flopping about the policies. And also, even if you don't believe that these protests could spread the virus, it gives reason for the government to blame the protesters. Of course, there's the inconvenience and the chaos caused by all the cars going, driving by and beeping their horns and clogging traffic up, and then the numerous protesters walking around, and they're causing damage to property and painting things and taking away from police resources. But I think the most important thing to take away is just what are they going to accomplish aside from drawing attention to their cause. And I don't think that the attention that they've garnered is going to do anything. It doesn't look good. That's the thing. It doesn't look good to the person in the public who doesn't really want to go out and get involved in something like this. They're happy to stay home and mind their own business. They don't want to get involved, and they're willing to wait and see what happens. And this is the other thing. In a year and a half, there's going to be another election. About a year and a half. So, okay, you got to hang on for a year and a half. Now, as far as the vaccines go, you've waited this long. I know it's very difficult for people, but in the eyes of the government, they may just be thinking, listen, we have the vaccines coming in. We've got millions of vaccines coming in. People will get vaccinated. It's going to take time. So this will be resolved eventually. You would think it would be resolved in, say, the next 3 to 6 months, even sooner than that. But this is what I mean. You're not going to get Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha out of... You're not going to unseat him. He's not going to resign. And then, let's say that he just decided, you know what, that's it, I'm going to resign. For the good of Thailand, I'm going to resign. If that's what they want, fine. The next person to step into his shoes may be even worse. Maybe he or she won't be. But you have to think, it's almost like jumping from one frying pan to another. So you don't know really what you're going to get. And they're certainly not going to, in a matter of days, purchase 10 million doses of vaccines and get everybody vaccinated, get 10 million people vaccinated, say, in a matter of days. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. So the change is going to happen gradually. And I think that that's what the government is doing. They're waiting so that they can, that eventually the protest will lose some steam, because they'll see more and more people are getting vaccinated. The numbers are still pretty steady, around 20 to 22,000. And the death rate is still anywhere from about 150 to like 230. So it's staying fairly stable. I don't know what the protesters really hope to accomplish, because, as I said, in the coming months there's going to be more vaccines and hopefully far less restrictions, and that should alleviate some of the economic issues. If they start opening up, people can go back to work. If they start getting vaccinated, hopefully they'll be safer, there'll be less deaths. But I don't really know if their protests are making all that much of a difference. And Thailand has been going through political drama for many, many years. It's normal. So this most recent protest is probably not the last protest. The public's dissatisfaction with the Prime Minister is probably not the last time they will be dissatisfied with their leader, whoever it may be. So I guess my point is, it's 50-50, and that's what the poll shows. It's only 1,318 people. But for the most part, it's 50-50. Hey, these protests are doing good. Hey, they're not doing any good. And I don't think they're really doing all that much good. And I'm not saying that I don't believe they have some legitimate grievances. Of course they do. I'm just saying, I don't know that throwing Molotov cocktails or shooting firecrackers or shooting rocks at the police is going to do much good. So why do it? If it's not going to do any good, what do you want to do? You just want to, it's like they're poking a tiger. That's all they're doing. They're poking the tiger just to irritate it. Eventually that tiger is going to lash out. And then what? You're going to have to suffer the consequences. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting to see this and to think about just how worthwhile these protests are, have been, and will be. And, I feel for them, and I see a lot of people hurting. The only thing I can say is hopefully things will get resolved very, very quickly. So I don't think this situation here with the COVID is going to be resolved this year. I think it may slow down by the end of the year, but I don't think it's going to be resolved quickly. That's my opinion. That's my take on it. Until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Chok di leo jerken mai. That's good luck and see you later. I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah. We're gas. All right, there we go. Hey, buddy, hey, Are you saying?
He hurt.
Hurt, didn't I?
Yeah.